It is another go-round of Soccer's in Session presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Let me see if I can get there it is. I did get it correct, pointing to the upper left-hand portion of the screen. So there you go. Kaiser Permanente, proud sponsors here on the SDH Network. It's another go-round of Soccer's in Session. Joining us at 12:15 is Molly McCarty, the girls head coach at Jefferson. We're going to find out about her season. It was great to see them the other day, and it was great to be up in Jefferson to come and hang out with everybody there. So that was a fun environment. We'll find out how things are for her and for the season and the expectations and everything going on at Jefferson. And for those of you that might have missed it, and we'll talk to Coach McCarty about this when she comes on with us, because she has to duck out of class. And so she ducks out of class. It'll be about 12:15, and we'll catch up with her for about 15 minutes. And Corey James, the head coach at Metter on both the boys and girls sides, he's going to join us after that in the last half hour, and we'll talk about everything there going on with Metter. Great start on the boys side. So I'm going to talk about this when she comes on in a bit, but she hung out for 40 minutes, and we had a really cool, wide-ranging conversation. So if you missed the boys match when we were up at Jefferson for the matchups against Oconee County, go back and listen to starting at, you can listen to the whole match, but the boys match conversation with Coach McCarty started at halftime and went into the second half. So it was a really cool, wide-ranging conversation, and having that kind of a conversation was the reminder for me to have her on Soccer's in Session. And so we get to catch up with her as she exits class and gets somebody to kind of hang out and watch for a little bit. And so then she's going to join us at 12:15. And like I said, we're going to find out what's going on at Metter in the second half hour as well. So very, very cool to see what's going on there with Metter and what's going on with their season as well. So very, very cool stuff across the board when it comes to this go-round of Soccer's in Session. Reaching out to coaches all around the state. Once again, region play is right in the heart of things. Another couple of weeks before we get into the postseason. The remainder of this week, tomorrow, it's matches at 5 and 7. It is Warner Robins and Perry. That's going to be on the network, and you can listen to that at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And you can also listen to that on the Mixler app. If you don't believe in web browsers, you can download the Mixler app, MIXLR. And what you can do is follow Soccer Down Here and SDH2. And there's a reason I mentioned SDH2 coming up in just a little bit. But tomorrow at 5 and 7, it will be Warner Robins and Perry on the network, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and with our friends, once again, straight up at Mixler on the Mixler app. And you can download that and listen to all the games. They're archived after the fact. And you can listen to them as long as you want and as many times as you want. We encourage that. You're up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You got to get up first thing. You got an early drive. You're an early riser, and you like to get your miles in before the rest of civilization catches their collective breath. You can listen to all the matches. Listen to your favorite matches and favorite teams going back about a year. And you can listen to all of that on the archive at our Mixler site and on the Mixler app as well. The reason I bring up SDH1 and SDH2 is because of Friday on the network. We will be in two places. So set your notifications, follow Soccer Down Here and follow SDH2. Soccer Down Here and the number 2.mixlr.com on the web browser. And once again, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. You got two matches and two match days to choose from on Friday. Drew Dickinson and I will be at the Battle of Five Forks Trickham with Parkview and Brookwood. That is 5:30 and 7:30, if my math is correct, if I remember correctly. And we'll be there for that. Jason and the rest of the crew will be out at Sharp Stadium in Covington for a big region matchup with North Oconee visiting Eastside. And so those will be the matchups. One will be on SDH, one will be on the mothership, the other on SDH2. So have multiple devices going or set up separate windows, and you can listen to one and then the other. Listen to one on a browser, listen to one on the app. So it'll be Parkview, Brookwood, North Oconee, and Eastside. Those will be the matchups on Friday once again, and just trying to figure out where one is going to be and where the other is. Set your notifications and follow us at SDH on the SDH network on all of your social media. Atlanta United is going to be taking on NYCFC. That is going to be on Saturday. News coming out Sunday is a little different because initially it was going to be a night game involving Atlanta United 2. But as I sit here and look to my left and look at the Big 55, it looks like you're going to have the possibility of severe weather coming in later in the day here in the Atlanta area, and especially up at the Fraction. And we know how the microclimate in Cobb County can be sometimes in the northwest section of the suburbs of Atlanta, and how literally you could have rain and thunder in one location, go 5 minutes south, and it doesn't exist. Or you could have rain and thunder be 5 minutes north, and it doesn't exist. So what Atlanta United has done is they have moved the start time of the matchup involving Atlanta United 2, and that has now been moved from a night match to an afternoon match. It is now going to kick off at 3:30 for Atlanta United 2 and Chattanooga FC. So 3:30 start. Pregame will be a little after 3 o'clock here on the network, once again on the Mixlr site and on the Mixlr app. And on soccerdownhere.net, you can go to the Listen tab, and you'll get a notification, bright, shiny lights will go off and things like that when we do have an event that is up and running on the network that is live. So soccerdownhere.net, Listen tab, networks will flash, and you'll sit there, and it's like, oh, they're live, and you can click on it there. Or go to soccerdownhere.maxlr.com or go to the Soccer Down Here. Go to the Mixlr app and search for Soccer Down Here. So you are looking at all of that. So 3:30 kick for Atlanta United 2 and Chattanooga FC. 3 o'clock pregame on the network, and we'll let you know what's going on because they're trying to get it in before the weather hits on Sunday afternoon. So very, very so that's your updated news and notes when it comes to the programming here on the network. So before Coach McCarty joins us, once again, just a quick reminder about all the ways that you can help out here on the SDH network. You can go to Olive and York, and you can get the first ever SDH jersey brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. It's a Navy jersey, Kaiser Permanente across the front, Beyond Goals Mentoring on the sleeve, Soccer for Good on the sleeve. You can personalize it with a Navy jersey. You can either go with the white letters and numerals, or you can go with the lighter blue letters and numerals. You can go to Olive and York, and you can help out our Soccer for Good campaign in 2025. Collaboration that we have with Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You might have been looking around and seeing sweatshirts that say soccer is just better in Atlanta, either in red or black. And what you can do there is you can help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School system. And you will, once again, pick red, black, sweatshirt, T-shirt. We have both sweatshirts here at the house. The boss has taken the red one. And so actually, I've taken the red one because she can't wear red considering where she went to school. So she has the black one. I have the red one. Soccer is just better in Atlanta, and it helps out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools. And that is with our collaboration with Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. If you want to help out, don't know if you have heard about the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, the last country on the planet that is trying to put together a national soccer team. And they've been catching a lot of press recently. They're going to have their first ever 11v11 tournament against 3 other U.S. territories, and it's going to be in Springdale, Arkansas, the second full week of August. And they have a Kickstarter campaign up and running to help fund that. We are also helping out as Friends of the Marshall Islands. You can pick up the scarf. You go to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation shop. You'll notice our Madison Cruz is holding up a scarf that we helped design with the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation in mind. I'm shipping one to Ohio. I've got about 10 on the other side of this wall. You get the jersey, you get all the gear, you get the bucket hats, the pins, etc. You order it, it ships from England, from our friends at Player Layer and the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Then you want a scarf, you get it from me to help out the Marshall Islands. And once again, I ship them. I've been shipping them out all around the country. Frankly, I've been shipping them out all around the world. And it's been, once again, it's been very, very humbling that folks are interested. But I've got about 10 on the other side of this wall. And then we got to reorder because we're helping out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. So very, very cool stuff with them. So it is the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. It is Grady Baby. It is Olive and York. It is, I knew I forgot something. It is the being an SDH Fanatico. And you ask, what is a Fanatico? Well, I'll tell you. For $10 a year, what do you do for $10 a year? What you can do for $10 a year is you can become a Fanatico and help out our Soccer for Good campaigns. Gain exclusive access to discounts all over Atlanta and some of your favorite breweries, pubs, soccer retail stores like Lloyd Soccer Shop. Specific Atlanta United gear has an attached discount. It is hotels, comedy theaters, and a resort in Costa Rica. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Chateau Arenal, you can go. If you want to go see Herediano, you want to go see Alajuelense, you want to go see Saprissa, you can stay at Chateau Arenal. You get a discount by being a Fanatico, and it helps out Chateau Arenal. It helps you out if you go to Costa Rica, and it helps out our Soccer for Good campaign in 2025 by being a Fanatico for $10 a year. Exclusive access to the group on the Chant app to stay better connected to all that we do at SDH. You can visit group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join, group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join. So you can be a part of our Fanaticos program and get yourself some discounts. And I mean, it is everywhere from Watkinsville to the Southern Crescent, and more places are being added when it comes to discounts and such. But once again, you can also go to Chateau Arenal in Costa Rica on a discount if you are a Fanatico. If you are so inclined, you can go to Chateau Arenal, get a discount there, and go and spend some time in Costa Rica if you are a Fanatico on the SDH network. So very, very cool stuff there as well when it comes to being a Fanatico and continuing to grow the game in the various ways that we get to. You can also do it by going to Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. And you get to help the network out. You get to help us out. And you get to continue to add to your being a true degenerate in every sense of the word. Because if you don't have the BNs, you can get the BNs. And you can also make sure that you are up and running all over the place. And you can pay attention to anything and everything going on when it comes to, let's see. Let me see if I can remember the networks. It is Nuestra Tele, CDO, for the fans. It is Teise, all the BNs, and I mean all the BNs. And you can keep up with everything Ligue 1. All of that activity is there. So it's all the BNs, Nuestra Tele, CDO, for the fans, Teise, Gold TV, and our buddy Nino Torres. So you can watch South American soccer. You can watch Portuguese, the Portuguese Primera as well. And you do it at Fanatis. Download Fanatis and the Fanatis app, ftz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out. Continue to add countries to your knowledge base and to your viewing base. And just, make sure that you're locked in on all the devices and you can watch anything and everything around the planet. And Fanatis adds to that as well. So once again, very, very cool stuff from a lot of friends that are attached here on the SDH network. And our friends also at Kaiser Permanente. We'll go through the sponsors that help us out on the live broadcast side coming up in just a little bit as well. But it is last night was a very, very busy night. We'll get into that as well. And once again, we'll go over the week. And it looks like we're starting to piece together our schedule for next week. And so we should be on site on Monday. And we will let you know when that is officially official. And it is just going to be the one match on Monday because the boys team and the girls team are split in their region play and where they're going. And so it will be in just a one match on Monday at the location that we're trying to secure. And then also trying to secure Tuesday, Thursday, and next Friday before FC Dallas comes to town. And so it looks like we might be in two places on Thursday to fire up SDH1 and SDH2. So once again, very, 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 very cool that we're getting the chance to kind of tour the state. And this is an opportunity for us to expand our grid. And like I said, when Jason pieced together the grid, starting January 25th and going all the way to October 18th. So basically you're looking at 10 months worth of small print. And places where the SDH network is broadcasting from, it was 4 pages. 4 pages. And right now, we've just cleared page 1. So that's where we are. We've cleared page 1 of 4, and we are in page 2. And once again, we're trying to get everything squared away here toward the end of March, getting ready for the beginning of April, and for the sprint, getting into the playoffs and things like that. And so there's a story from last night that I want Coach McCarty's advice on for other programs that might be going through the same things that we've seen across the state. And I wanted to get her advice, and I want to also get Coach James's advice from Metter about how difficult it is to coach two programs at one time, the growth of the sport, pockets of growth, and those kinds of things. And so, really looking forward to catching their advice and what advice they would give going forward. So, really cool stuff that we're going to examine here today when it comes to high school soccer. We're going to go over the rankings and where things stand with a lot of different clubs in and around the state and what to look at. And it's going from our friends at Scoreboard. We'll go through the scoreboard graphics and the scoreboard rankings, and we'll see what's going on in the minds of folks when it comes to all the activities. And Corey James is going to join us from Metter at 12:45. So, all right, so it's going to be Coach McCarty coming up when she can get out of class, and Corey James, the boys and girls head coach at Metter, at 12:45. So that's the rundown for today. And it looks like our Monday match, it looks like we have it locked in. So it is going to be the women's match with Walton and Marist on Monday. So Walton and Marist on Monday is a go. And that is the one match, and it is at 6 o'clock on the network. And so once again, we'll be there on the air a little before 6, but it is just the girls' game on Monday, girls' match on Monday. Walton Harris, that'll be on the network. And now we go to Jefferson, and we get to find out what's going on with someone that we pulled out of class. There's the Cosby Show one-liner in there somewhere with Russell that he always would have in conversations with Rudy and Fat Albert. We'll bring in Coach McCarty and test her. It's geometry, right, Molly?
Yes, it is.
Where are you in your lesson plan right now in geometry class with your classes? What are you learning them about right now?
Funny you ask. We're doing similarity of triangles.
Okay.
So whether they're similar, yeah. Did that take you back?
Well, yeah, considering that I got C's and D's in geometry and trig, except for like one test where you were trying to figure out degrees and angles and things like that. But you mentioned triangles, and this is where my brain is functioning these days. Literally, I'm sitting there and trying to think of pass patterns in 3v2 situations involving triangles.
Yes. Do we want a right triangle? Do we want an obtuse triangle? Do we want acute triangles in those passes? Regardless, if you're ever in a 3-2 situation, you have the advantage. So we go where the advantage is.
All right. So if you are trying to have your perfect triangles when it comes to passing, literally this is the symbiotic relationship between your geometry class and your practice schedule now. What are the similarities where folks sit there and go, hey, wait a minute, I'm realizing that math and soccer have a similarity here. What are they?
Well, definitely the triangles, but you've got angles all day long. If you're forcing passes, we got to look for angle passes. We got to look to the width. We got to look to the outside, to the vertex of the angles there. So the vertex would be our target player. And the other day, it's funny you said that, because the other day, one of the girls that I do teach in geometry, I told her, I said, your triangle is just not working. And so we stopped playing. We talked about, the tip of the triangle is a better pass than trying to, go through it. So she laughed about it. She said, you always have to find math in this, don't you? I said, absolutely. So, yeah, it is definitely a correlation of all of that.
When you look at where you are right now here in season 2, and I know that you're looking for a deep run in season 3, there was a busy night last night. Where do you think you are right now as a club here in season 2?
Well, last night, the girls do their homework. They know where we stand at the moment. And what you've got to understand right now is we went into our fourth region game. We have been successful so far in our region, came off a big win Friday night. That could have gone both ways, like you and I talked about Friday night. How do you come off a win like that and continue that momentum? And our big word yesterday was execute. And it took us a few minutes to kind of get that going last night, but once one went in, others went in. And our chaplain before the game talked about um, the you is who. And after last night, John, we've now had 15 players assist in goals. So you do your homework on that. If you have a 22-person roster, we've got over 70% of our girls assisting in our goals, and I think that just amounts to the buy-in of this being a true team this year. And so last night, it took a minute to execute, but once it happened, they didn't pull off of it.
When you have a win that is a large margin versus a win that is a nail biter, is the level of learning the same? Do you learn as much in a game where you end up putting a big number on the board against a smaller number on the board, or the margins are smaller, or is each lesson different depending on the opponent and the situation?
I think it can be. I mean, it's totally about the perspective of it. And I think I have a lot of respect because at my other school, we were the team that would get beat 8 and 9 to nothing. So I have a lot of respect for that. We always tell the girls you've got to be humble with it, but at the same time, any game you go into, you got to go in with that win mentality. You got to go in with it doesn't matter who the opponent is. We're playing us technically. So um, if we want to go in and we don't want to execute and we don't want to follow through, then we're beating ourselves. And you play down to that, and that's something big last night that I did not want to have happen. It happened at the beginning, but we kind of overcame that. And so the perspective of it is yes, you still have to have the same mentality. This is a big game. This is a region game. This determines seeding of kind of where we will be playoff wise. So it was big last night. But like I said, now we have 15 girls that have assisted, and that was big. That was key last night. So
Molly McCarty, head girls
yeah.
coach, hanging out with us from Jefferson. Big win last night at Monroe area. West Hall is coming up, and another road trip on April 1st. I will not refer to it as its holiday notation because there can be too many things said about what happens on April 1st with the day that is normally associated with it. So we're going to leave
Right.
we're going to leave that middle word out, and it's going to be the first day of April.
Good.
You've got a road game at West Hall, and then you scheduled Buford.
Yes.
Buford at Buford. And everybody's sitting there going, whoa. I mean, you don't mess around when it comes to schedule making. You really want to be challenged, even if it is out of your classification and expectations, all that kind of stuff. That's been one of the tenets of your program.
Right. So last year, two seasons ago, Megan and I at Buford said that we definitely wanted to get each other on the schedule because, John, a lot of our club players play with some of the Buford girls, and we didn't want to shy away from it. I mean, we may be, 3 classifications under them. It doesn't shy us away from it. So Coach Pineda and I last year decided to keep Buford on the schedule, and kind of to balance that out, we scheduled Johnson, which is a 3A school, but for the boys' side, it's definitely, a challenge for the boys. So that was kind of our balance game. But we're excited about Buford. We go in with that mentality. We have nothing to lose. They're number one, I think, in all classifications, are they not?
Sounds good.
It sounds. My husband told me that. So anyway, he said, what do we have to lose but to just go out there and act and treat it like a state game, treat it like a playoff. But I know for Megan, we don't want anybody to get hurt. Everything needs to be clean. It'll be a great game with. Sophia Martelli, she's an Alabama commit, good friends with us. So have we gone against a Sophia all season? No, we haven't. And so that'll be a good challenge for us defensively. I think we need that going into playoffs. But then we turn around right after Buford, and we're playing North Oconee, who, again, my husband reminded me is the number one team in 4A right now. So, for our PSR rating, I think it's going to help us when it comes down to wherever we're going to land in playoffs, because here we are, we're playing Buford, and then 2 weeks later we're playing North Oconee, and I think that that definitely is going to help us. And whatever happens in that game, we learn from it, because I'm a firm believer that if you don't go out and try to play teams that technically or tactically may be better than us, we're never going to learn who we really are. And I think we kind of scheduled that at the beginning of our season. I think last year at this time, John, we were undefeated and we didn't know what it felt like to lose. But we do know that now. And we've learned from that. We've capitalized. We're moving on. And so we'll just use these next 4 games as just games to continue to propel us into the playoffs.
Scoreboard rankings, top 10 all class. Buford, Roswell, Brookwood, GAC, West Forsyth, Walton, North Oconee is your top 7. So, yes. So, yes. Two of the top 7 on your schedule coming up here in just a little bit. You mentioned in your previous places that you were the coach that was the one that was getting the other end of the win and loss. And there are programs that are still trying to find that first win of the year, trying to find first goal of the season in situations. And it's a lot of young teams or teams that are trying to be built to where they can learn from these experiences and be competitive and take that next step when it comes to their play and their schedules and regions. What advice would you give programs where a coach might be struggling with their program? They haven't won, they haven't scored, they haven't won, and they haven't scored. What advice would you give those programs about staying the course and being a part of the fabric that is high school soccer?
Well, I think it's we as coaches have got to realize that these are student athletes. And the beauty of high school soccer is they're going out there and they're representing their school. They're representing their community. And they're not going to be perfect. You're trying to balance, me as a coach, I'm trying to balance all levels of play. And finding that niche to balance that is what you've got as a coach have to be patient with. And at the end of the day, you can't fault them if they're doing their best. You can't fault them if they're trying hard. And I promise, if you stay the course and you trust the process, good things will come. They may not come in a season, and honestly, they may not come in 2 seasons, but they will if you stay the course and you build culture of work ethic. If you stay disciplined and you hold these players accountable, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to go work. They're going to have to go be employees. They're going to be wives, husbands, whatever. And you want to teach them that accountability. And I think high school soccer does that. But the culture of your school has definitely got to play into your athletics. So my biggest advice to them is to be patient, to allow them to see that they can trust you, but that you also trust them, and giving them those moments where they can be the leader of the team, I think says a lot. And I saw that last night at Monroe. There were a couple of girls in that group that I could see were a little defeated, but they didn't give up. And I think that that's something to build upon in a program where you are trying to do something. So trust has a lot to do with that. You just got to build that trust into your culture.
And the reason I ask is because, when we go around the state, there'll be situations where I will see, those situations with programs, and you'll see the scores come across the scoreboard and you have those wide margins. I'll give you another instance that I thought was really telling about programs and camaraderie and growth. There was a situation in a recent game where the starting keeper for this club that has had a long year, starting keeper, she's playing out of her mind. I swear she had as many saves and twice as many shots and was keeping her team in the game, although the defense had let a couple go through. She ends up getting injured late in the first half. And then she has to be carted off, and she goes over to the bench to shorten the walk to make sure that she's okay. And they ended up looking at her right ankle by the time they were done. But in the second half, this particular team puts in a position player who I'm fairly certain really hadn't been in net in quite some time. Every single time she's making a save, the bench is going
Yep.
crazy.
It's key.
And I thought that was one of the coolest things. And one of the starting keeper was there giving support and yelling, and the bench is yelling their heads off, giving support every time there's a save that was being made. Every single time there's a great outlet by the keeper, grabbing onto the ball, making sure that the margin stays where it is. I thought that was really cool, and it spoke volumes about this particular program.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with what is the coach influencing, but these girls and even for boys too, they go to school together all day. They know each other. They're practicing every day. And the buy-in from the bench has to be the same as the buy-in from the ones that are playing. And I've said a lot of times that your bench is your 12th man. And if the bench is not energetic, it's going to be hard for all those players who are playing and giving everything they can to be energetic. So, yes, I definitely agree that the bench and those girls that may not understand that they're starting, they still have a huge role because they're still a part of something in that game that you can't necessarily put on a field. And that's energy and excitement from the bench. And, one of the other things, John, I got to say is for a coach who may be struggling right now, you got to have buy-in from your parents. And your parents are going to be the ones that go home and either talk bad about the coach or talk good about the coach. And if the kids are going home here and, oh, the coach is doing this, or, oh, we're a terrible team, well, what are they going to start believing? Well, we're terrible and we have a bad coach. So the parents have to understand that they are just as much important as the player on the field and the bench. They got to bring the energy too. And with supportive parents and a supportive community around you, you can build a team culture of success. And it doesn't necessarily have to come with a win or a loss. It can definitely come with building that within your program.
Did we get you to escape from class long enough? You need to head back?
Well, I can go back, yes. But I do certainly, John, again, I appreciate everything you do for high school soccer. You know, I won't say how many years ago, but many years ago when I was in it, I would have never thought that this would have ever been something that, that you've got a platform for. So we appreciate it as coaches.
No, thanks to everybody like you that understands what we're trying to do here at SDH with me and Jason and Maddie and Nick and Jarrett and everybody that we're throwing into the pile here, because we understand what it means to the communities and all the programs.
Right.
I just didn't want to get you in trouble with the boss about being.
You're not. He already knew. He already knew. I'll go back to teaching similarity.
All right. Well, thanks again. And don't be a stranger. You know how to dive in at Wednesdays, and be safe. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Thank you, John.
There goes head coach Molly McCarty. And I didn't realize it until initially. It's like she's in geometry class and we started talking triangles. Like, wait a minute. Triangles and passing in geometry. See, this is the kind of stuff where you sit there and it doesn't quite register maybe as an athlete out of the blocks. But then you go home and you sit there, you crack open your geometry book and you're seeing, obtuse and isosceles triangles and things like that. And you're going, hey, wait a minute. And the light comes on. You're like, wait a minute. And all of the things kind of mesh together. You may not understand 45, 45, 90 and what the math is and it adding up to 180 degrees. And I sure as heck didn't when I was in school, last Tuesday when I was in geometry class getting C's and D's. By the way, I failed algebra 1. Got C's and D's in geometry. C's and D's in calculus. And full disclosure, in my geometry class when I was in school, I would sit because I didn't like, and I'm like, math for me was not going to be my career. So I was just like, really? I have to sit here and take this? So I was sitting in the back of the room. I was not one of those folks that sat in the front in the first 3 rows and was like, ah! That was not me. Was not wired that way. So when I had geometry or pre-calc, I forget whichever one it was. I think it was geometry because it was algebra 1, then it was algebra 2, then it was geometry, and it was trig, and it was calculus. I think those were the 5 years that I had. Because I really wasn't engaged in math class, and it was, and I was trying to prepare for a career in Major League Baseball at the time. I had 79.5s in all 3 semesters, and I got 3 C's. There were some that had 9.5s that got upgraded to the next grade up. I did not. Probably because the instructor at the time really could tell that I really had no interest in it whatsoever. Corey James, the head coach at Metter, is going to join us on the boys and girls sides coming up in about 10 minutes. But no, it was fun to. It's fun to. The light came on for me when I was just plugging in all the bio info here with Coach McCarty, and it's very, very kind of her to say what she said about what we're trying to do here at SDH. It's a part of the picture, and it's just as important in Jefferson as it is in Monroe area, and as it is in a place like Kennesaw Mountain where we were last night, and a place that's growing like Fitzgerald, being at Social Circle like we were earlier this week, seeing a program, in the smaller classifications like what we're seeing with Coach Richardson and the Redskins team in Class A. And see what's going on there, to see what we have at Kennesaw Mountain, to see what it's doing in Perry. We get to go and see what Coach Dooley is up to coming up tomorrow with Warner Robins and Perry and the doubleheader there. Then on Friday, Parkview and Brookwood. We know what that rivalry is when it comes to high school football, American football. Now we get to see once again for the second time in a row what it means to Friday night football, FUTBOL. Like I said, Drew Dickinson and I will be there for that one. North Oconee, we've seen what it means to North Oconee, and finding out what Coach McCarty wants to do with her schedule. Clark Central, North Oconee, literally she's done with her region play after April 1. West Hall's her last region game. Her last 3 matches of the season currently on the board: at Buford, at Clark Central, at North Oconee. So at Buford, at Clark Central, and then going to Bogart to take on North Oconee. You want to challenge yourself in Season 2 and get you ready for Season 3. That's what you're staring at here when it comes to this time of the year. Sorry, I'm navigating because I'm trying to figure out if the rowdy man is trying to go in and around and come back so I can remind him that we still have 20 minutes left on the show. Once again, Corey James, head coach at Metter, is going to be coming up with us here in about 10 minutes. But no, it's like I said, it's very, very kind that Coach McCarty says those kinds of things. And when we're able to have the kind of conversations that we do, and when it comes to the wide-ranging kind of things, it's really cool for me to once again see how these windows open in these communities. And so having someone who's really cool like Coach McCarty come on and and sit there and lay it all out. And that's why with a program that is as successful as the program that she currently is, that's why I wanted to ask her about the programs that are up and running, but they're struggling for whatever reason. I mean, it could be numbers, could be, it could be roster size, could be what have you. But for those programs that are starting, that's why, and starting out and then learning as they go, that's why I wanted to ask her. And I'll ask Coach James the same thing. When it comes to all of the athletes, and I have to remind myself that I have to ask Coach James about make that kid an offer. So I'll ask about make that kid an offer for Coach James when he pops in and find out about his programs on the boys and the girls side. By the way, the boys team 11-0, 6-0 in region in Class A Division II in Region 3. And that's just the beginning of the story. So we'll talk about the boys' side and the girls' side. We'll make that kid an offer and find out who is next level deserving from the Metter program, who's getting looks, who's not getting looks, who needs more looks, those kinds of things. And so once again, thanks to Coach McCarty and to Coach James for visiting us and hanging out with us here today. Run through the rest of the partners that we have here when it comes to the high school coverage that we have here on the network. It's Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. Oglethorpe is also the sponsor of our Player of the Match Day, as well as the proud sponsor for Morning Espresso with Jason. And Jason has his morning the news, notes, nuggets, rants, anything that's on his mind. It's usually about 15 minutes worth of content comes to you in audio form, video form, and also in newsletter form. So thanks to our friends at Oglethorpe University for being proud sponsors there with everything here at SDH and the Morning Espresso. Also by TouchLink, a leading provider of video highlights and analytics services that benefit coaches and administrators at all levels of the game. It's TouchLink, Touch LYNK. Also, the Future Stars Soccer Academy, where kids get the chances to develop their skills on the campus of Oglethorpe University for 5 weeks each summer. And it is also the Moxie Hotel in Midtown Atlanta. Everything you need in a boutique hotel with a fun-loving atmosphere, the Moxie Hotel. All of them proud sponsors here on the SDH Network. And the Moxie Hotel is the home of our third Thursday events, where we can all get together. Say that 10 times fast. And you get to hang out, and we get to find out what's going on with your mind in the world of soccer at the Moxie Hotel in Midtown Atlanta. Once again, they're also proud sponsors here on SDH. And this is where we get to say this is the first time that we've got to check in on Metter. And Coach James, once again, a believer in the Tom Coughlin school of meetings and meeting times. Just to give you an idea, he said 12:45. And so, and a firm believer of the Tom Coughlin school, Tom Coughlin, the former head coach. And like I said, I'm dating myself with this reference. Tom Coughlin was the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Giants in the NFL. And with his military background, he said, look, when meeting time is at this time, if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, then the door is locked and you ain't coming in. So when I was talking to Coach James told me 12:45. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the final 15 minutes of the show. Coach James will come in. So what's going on? Coach James comes in 4 minutes early, subscribing to the Tom Coughlin school of everything going on. And so now we go to Metter and find out what's going on. Coach, it is great to see you. Thanks for dropping by and going in session with us so folks can find out more about the Metter program that is off and running. Thanks for dropping by.
Yes, I'm thankful for you having us out here in the great metropolis of Metter.
It is, and because everything is better in Metter, and
that's right.
Folks need to know about that. What I wanted to do was bring you in to talk about a couple of different things. First and foremost, you are not just a coach; you are like the coach. It is boys and girls there in Metter in Class A Division II. How do you regiment your time as an assistant principal and a head coach of both of the soccer programs that are on campus? How many schedules and calendars do you have to set your life together?
Well, there are multiple schedules, but one great asset that I have that a lot of other people don't have is I have a great administration. My principal, Ella Strober, is really assists me in allowing me to perform my duties, and also my other co-assistant principal, Mr. Scott Waters. They both do a great job of assisting and helping with me, along with the other administrators that's in our district, because, you know, as our motto says, we try to win at everything here in Metter, and that includes having a winning attitude on the football field, soccer field, basketball courts, as well as the classroom. And they feed into that. And then our community feeds into that also. And it's with all this assistance and help. And by the way, I do have another coach that helps me, and she more helps with the girls. That's Janae Lloyd.
When it comes to the programs themselves, right now, for those that don't know, out of the blocks, the boys team, they are 11-0. For those that don't know, 11-0, 6-0 in region play, averaging giving up a goal a match so far in these first 11 games, having scored 59. If I had told you this deep into region play, this deep into season 2, that the boys team would be 11-0, 6-0, and have a goal difference of plus 48 at the beginning of the season, if we had this conversation and I told you this was the situation right now, what would you have told me then?
I'd have to laugh, because I've been here and coaching for well over 10 years at Metter, coaching soccer, and having seen the program come from where it was to where it is now, with the girls last year going to the Elite Eight and losing to Mount Vernon, and the boys this year performing as well as they are. I'd have to just say I wouldn't believe it. but because of the hard work of these kids, the administration and allowing us to do the type of things that we do, is a special place, Metter, because the community really comes out and supports these kids. The administration supports these kids, and they have a desire to be better. They come to practice, and even sometimes when I would kick them out of practice, they'd still go to the rec department and practice on their own. That's what type of kid we're dealing with.
What has it been like when you first walked in the door? What was it like for both of the soccer programs when you first walked into the door at Metter? How dire was it when you first showed up?
When I first showed up and first walked in, it was one of those programs where you just get someone to coach, and the kids were showing up, and you have maybe one player that was good, and everybody else just was in love with the idea of playing soccer. But it has transformed to a place where soccer is one of the top sports here at Metter. The kids buy in, the community buys in, and you have kids from other sports who wanting to play. And that's a big difference. Whereas before, you had no one really wanting to play outside of the kids that have an interest in it from their home.
Now, when you have all of the buy-in on the boys and girls sides, what is the pride like there in Metter to see where it was, to see where it is, and to see that there is still some growth that can happen? What's it like to see the response now back from the community to what's been built?
Well, I would describe it, being a man of faith, as love. And that love that's been shown from the community and for our program is like none other, because you have the genuineness, because it's not one of the big three, the big four with baseball, basketball, or football. And you see the love from the community. You see the willingness from the kids to want to pursue the work. And being a former athlete myself, I know how, and I speak this to my kids every day. The work that you put in is what you're going to get out. You can't cheat the game. You have to come to show up and make every day a everyday practice just a part of the norm, because everybody wants game day and nobody wants to practice. And these kids want the practice, and they challenge each other. They come and they're trying to show that they're the best every day in practice, and that sets it apart, because I have juniors and freshmen I have a freshman that came and beat out other guys to be a striker now. And that's rare, because I tell kids all the time, if I have a freshman playing, that means that my juniors and seniors are not living up to what they're supposed to be. And I have one freshman that was able to do it, Anthony Benitez. And then I have seniors like Jonathan Izalde and Jamie Aquino, who come and they take that mantle. And my seniors take pride in leading and their leadership. And they're the ones that really take control of the program and see, we've transformed this from when I first stepped in, that there was no senior leadership, to now our seniors can really lead the majority of practice and just go on and just say, this is not how it should be. And they are more accepting of taking that role, and they have so much pride in it that when you get to be a senior here in Metter, it means something to you.
When you look at the melting pot that is that is both rosters on the boys and the girls sides, what's it like to see all of these different individuals coming from all these different places and blending together to be a team and to be a program for you on both the boys and the girls side?
Well, that's one of the unique things about sports. And I heard one of my former teammates, Deion Sanders, say this the other day on one of the sport talk shows. He said that, at sports, we come from every walk of life, but we aren't black, white, Hispanic. We're teammates. And when you get to that point to where you're teammates and you challenge each other and push each other, you don't see them as being from this different culture. All you see is, that's my teammate, and we are seeing things the same way. And I think that's the one thing that these guys will do and see when they get to be productive citizens. And that's one of our goals as here at Metter, and me as a coach, that I want to produce positive individuals that'll be productive citizens. Not everybody's going to play MLS, but I want them to take the core values that soccer teaches them and become the core citizens that they can be productive and add to society.
You're talking about a population in Metter of about 4,000. And a couple of years ago, the household income, probably a handful of years ago, household income just under 22,000 when it comes to median household income. And you're looking for young student athletes, young students who want to become student athletes, looking for something for them to do. And I know that Coach Garvin and all of his time as head coach doing the American football, the FOOTBALL, you've had successes there in Class A. Now you're having successes in the FUTBOL. When you have all of these kinds of things continue to come together, I find it refreshing when you have this kind of growth that's not just, you mentioned the Big Four, but you also get to add things to the Big Four there on campus, because I know a lot of folks who might have a long memory might remember a quarterback like Zach Stanford before his time, when he was a quarterback there, and what Coach Garvin's doing. But the growth is not just up with the Big Four, but it's sideways in adding more sports and then lifting more student athletes up.
That's right. And see, that's one of our goals, to lift all sports and all students up to a place where you can have that pride in Metter athletics, where you can have that pride in yourself. And it translates to you being a productive citizen. Because one of the things that I say all the time, that uncoachable kids become unemployable adults. And when you can have an adult that can go through something as tough as soccer, and me being a former football player, I know that as something that's hard to say. I said that in an atmosphere about a couple of weeks ago, and I had one of the refs said that thank you for saying that, because I think it's actually tougher than football, because the you don't have the protections that football has, and it's more running, more cardio, and you have to be a tough individual to go through and play soccer. And then and with me being old school and have a football mindset, it's not easy to play for me, because I don't allow certain things to happen, and we will ourselves. And I believe in positive reinforcement, positive thinking, and I get that a lot from my church and my church family. That so as a man thinketh, so is he. So we don't have any of the negativity, and any negativity, we try to root that out. So the kids, just like I say, it's a different kid that's here today.
And I do want to get into your time in Tallahassee here in a second, because I'm kind of holding back the rest of the story with that. When you mentioned positive reinforcement, the girls squad under 500 this year, and there's some struggles in the win column, and there's a losing streak right now at the moment. How do you continue to make sure that the focus stays as positive as it can be, and they don't get caught in the quicksand of a couple of losses mounting up and turning that into a negative? How do you continue to try to keep that positive reinforcement going and focusing on the positive when things aren't going your way?
Well, it's the same on both with the boys and the girls.
Right.
We constantly, one of the main things that I constantly do is I never talk about the entire season. We talk about the most important game, and it's the next game. Our most important game is always our next game that we have a hand, whether we won or lost. And then with the girls and the struggles that they're having, we focus on the positive things that happen during the game. We point out all the things that we could have gotten better, and we watch film, and it's just the diligence of being there day after day. Because once you start spiraling and you're not as successful as you were in the past, the negativity can seep in. But our girls are constantly fighting to get better, and a lot of their losses have been very close losses, to where and it's been one play or one different action that had a domino effect, and you end up not winning the games. But we don't hang everything on the wins and losses or effort. We have to look it's an effort based program to where we're looking at your individual effort. We're making sure that you have pride in what you've done. And one thing I've always say, you can never cry about the work that you didn't put in. So after games, there are no tears, because if you put in the work and left it all on the field, then you should have pride in what you did. Because sometimes, even though you work as hard as you can, it's not going to be enough. And that's just a fact of life. And then you have to go back, sit. And one thing I was taught is that you have your goal, you set your goal, then you have to reassess and go on and set another goal. And that's what the girls have been going through. And the guys, we're fighting complacency. We've had so much success that complacency sets in. And once you have a complacent, you're setting yourself up for failure. So we're doing the same thing. We're fighting the one game at a time. We're not looking at the season in entirety. What's going to happen when we get to the playoffs? What's going to happen when we play Atkinson County again, which is a great team? What's going to happen when we play Claxton again, which is another good team? What's going to happen? We're focused right now on Bryan County because they're the most important game, because they're the next game.
You and I share a zip code on a diploma, and I am a legacy to that particular institution as well. So when I don't know if this is still the case, but when you fill out the application to want to go to a university inside the Florida state system, on the back of the application, they ask you a question: members of immediate family that attended this institution. And so when I applied for Florida State University, I got to say mother, father, aunt, and uncle, and I don't think they looked at my SATs. So you and I share garnet and gold. Let me ask you this. Are folks like Odell Hagens and Dion, are they on your speed dial when you need advice? Who's on your speed dial that wears garnet and gold, or who is on your speed dial these days?
I have Odell on my speed dial. I can call Odell. He's one of my lineman brothers. We played together. His senior was my freshman year. And then I have a few others that are there. And that's what college is about, the relationships that you form and building and going for that. And I enjoy the talking as now that I'm older, and I look back on that all the time at Florida State, where we thought I was part of the first wide right. I was part of the second wide right, and all those hard times. And then I also played with Charlie Ward, and there are names that are there, and many more players. Kendrick Scott, Eric Gibbs, and those are my friends that I lean on and I call to. But then and you talk about the state of Florida. I also have family members. See, I'm the only on my dad's side of my family. My first cousin is Edrin James, and that played for the Indianapolis Colts, and we have that rivalry, and also have Javaris James, who also played for the Hurricanes, and we were just at our family gathering. We have that rivalry where we talk about sports and things like that. But it builds when you become a part or are a part of an organization like Florida State University. You have a network of family members. I haven't even met you, and we share a bond. So that's what I enjoy about Florida State University, and having played under one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bobby Bowden. And then I like to also mention one of my mentors, Chuck Amato.
Yep.
And then we have Jimmy Higgins.
Yeah.
And the names could go on, because those guys were great, and the lessons they taught, Mickey Andrews, last me for a lifetime. And that's what I'm trying to instill in some of these kids. Those lessons, that hard work will pay off.
Yeah, Chuck Amato. Yeah,
yeah.
Literally, when you went through all of those folks and you mentioned all the wides, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Derek Schmidt, Richie Andrews, Danny. Javier Beitia, Danny Mowry, Jerry Thomas. They all come back, and all of the wides, they all come back. Trust me, they all come back. And taking public speaking classes with Steve Gabbard and Joey Ionata. I took geology class with Odell because I front loaded all of my classes, and I took when I was there for Gordon Rule, I took 21 semester hours that summer. And so
I can remember that.
Yeah. So literally, for those that don't know, the old enrollment for the state of Florida. If you went in with less than, I want to say 40 hours, you had to stay a summer. And so I stayed the summer, took 7 classes and took 21 hours. And my instructors looked at me funny the entire time. But no, it was great times at Florida State. And that means that it's changing classes at Metter. I cannot think. Oh, before we go, we have a thing here where we kind of ask who deserves a look at the next level. Is there anyone on the boys and girls teams there that are seniors that haven't been getting the looks to the next level that you think they should be getting, or not getting any looks at all? Who would fit to make that kid an offer mentality there at Metter for you?
I think Jonathan Izalde. He is one of my seniors right now. He has 28 assists. He scored 18 goals, and last year he led us with 36 goals in the season.
Okay.
And he's a phenomenal kid, works hard at every day at being good, and he wants to be great. And he is a coach's dream. He's one of those students that will be there when the lights come on. He's already there working. And when the lights go out, he's still there working. And so he's one of the ones that somebody needs to take a chance on him. Somebody needs to take a look at on the girl side. I think one of our girls that's up and coming is Emily Espedia. You know, she is one of the workhorses, and she has a lot of talent that's there. But then I also have one other girl that's there, and that's Tyra. What's Tyra's last name? Howard. Tyra Howard. She is a track athlete that is a great defender, and she saves us a lot. And those are pretty much the 3 students that I would say that somebody come down to Metter, take a look at these athletes, because they deserve a chance at the next level.
Fantastic. It's always great to catch up with a fellow alum from Tallahassee, Florida, that knows everything about going on campus and making sure that the Diffenbaugh building stays where it is, and you know where to go when you're trying to find English. And you always go to the First for your Monday burger deals when the First existed there on campus. Coach, great to see you. Great to find out what's going on there in Metter. Hopefully it was a bit an education for all of our viewers and listeners. Keep on rolling, doing great work down there. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Don't be a stranger.
Okay, and if you're ever in the area, don't forget to come out and check out the Metter soccer team, boys and girls, because everything's better in Metter.
Exactly right. Thanks again, Coach. I appreciate your time.
All right, bye-bye.
Everything is better in Metter. And see, now that's cool. It's like when we were when I was trying to piece together the information, and Coach was talking about Dion. I remember, and this is once again story time with John before we get out of here. When I was working on the weekly television show that was the show that you would see on cable television in the state of Florida, having to do the weekend review, we were sitting in the basement of the arts building, and it was in the days of satellite television, and it was draft day in the National Football League. So we had the coordinates from ESPN to look at Dion and what he was going through when he was going to be drafted in the National Football League. And so he was talking to his representatives, and Andrea Kramer was there, and they were sitting on this big white couch in a big white room. And Dion wanted to be number 2. He wanted to wear the number 2 in the National Football League, but because he wasn't a special teams player, wasn't a kicker or a punter, that was when they still had the designations of, okay, special teams is 1 through 10, quarterbacks is, or 1 through 8, and then quarterbacks are like 10 through 19, et cetera, et cetera. So Dion is trying to figure out what number he can wear. And so after talking with his representatives, and Andrea Kramer can probably back this story up too, he comes upon the number 21. He's like, okay, so defensive backs can wear the 20s. He says, okay, I want to wear the number 21. And they ask him why, and he goes, because number 2 is number 1. That is how Deion Sanders ended up wearing the number 21 in the National Football League, because he was waiting to be drafted. He couldn't wear the number 2, but he said because the number 2 is number 1, that's how he became the number 21 in the National Football League. And now well, shoot. Why am I saying what needs to be said when, frankly, I can just defer to this guy?
Now you know the rest of the story.
Exactly, you do. So that is the story behind Deion Sanders and the number 21. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up another go-round of Soccer's in Session presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. And we'll be back at it again next Wednesday from the studio, if I remember correctly. Check my calendar really quick. Oh, let's see. Where are we in April? So April the 2nd. Yes, we're in studio. So we'll be back in studio once again next week, and we'll break it all down for you. Soccer's in Session presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Thanks to Molly McCarty. Thanks to Coach James. Thanks to our communities in Jefferson and Metter for letting us know what's going on. Tomorrow, Warner Robins and Perry on the network. Friday, 2 places at once, SDH 1 and 2, Parkview and Brookwood for the doubleheader, Sharp Stadium in Covington, 4, North Oconee and Eastside. Both of those match days are going to be on the networks. One of them's on SDH 1, one of them's on SDH 2. Set your notifications, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, and on the Mixlr app, MIXLR. You can also go to soccerdownhere.net. You can go to the Listen tab, click on that. You get a big siren when things are going live, and you get to follow along there as well. So once again, thanks for dropping by for another go-round of Soccer's in Session here on the SDH Network. Action tomorrow, action Friday, Atlanta United Saturday, the 2's Sunday afternoon now because of the impending weather coming into the state of Georgia. Back at it again with the high school action on Monday, and it is Marist and Walton girls, 6 o'clock from Raider Valley. That'll be on the network as well. And we're going to start lining up everybody else for next week as the regular season winds down. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for dropping by. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plot, y'all. And since it is the end of the show, go see a high school team that you haven't seen before. Show your support for the game in other places and places that you haven't been. Since it is the end of the show, it's like we get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning, and the action after that in Perry tomorrow afternoon and evening. Play it safe, everybody. See you in the morning.